Positive Anime Reviews is a review show that is designed for people who aren't very picky about their anime, like me. Most anime I watch ends up in my 5 out of 5 category. My reviews are for those people who are looking for a reason to watch anime rather than hate on it. I am willing to give any and all anime a chance before stating my opinion. Lastly, my reviews are all my opinion and might and or most likely will not match yours. If you don't agree, that's totally fine. Just be respectful in the comment section. Thank you. And as always, possible spoiler warning ahead. Hey guys, Darth Glork here, back with another positive anime review. Today we will be talking about Domestic Girlfriend. So, of course, the Japanese name will be in the description, just so you guys can know. Of course, Domestic Girlfriend is the English name, and like I said, the Japanese one will be in the description. Anywho, so first of all, I would say happy Monday, but let's be honest, Mondays are rarely happy. Regardless, though, I hope your guys' Monday is happy, and I hope you guys had a great weekend. But let's go ahead and hop into this review. So, first of all, when did this anime air? This one is another very recent one. It is from the winter 2019 season. So it was, not too long ago. It was another one on the list of anime that I have heard was really, really good. And yeah, it was on the list of anime that I heard was really, really good. And it was surprisingly popular, and I wanted to see it, so it was on my list. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure there is a dub. I don't know that for sure, but I don't know. But of course, I watch sub, so I'm not always positive if there is a dub or not. Now, of course, we will be starting with the synopsis first, because it is the easiest way to sum up anything. And so we'll hop into that, and then we'll get to the rest of this. Anyway, Natsuo Fuji is in love with his teacher Hina. Attempting to forget his feelings towards her, Natsuo goes to a mixer with his classmates where he meets an odd girl named Rui Tachibana. Man, that's hard to say with my stutter. You just have no idea. In a strange turn of events, Rui asks Natsuo to sneak out with her and do her a favor. To his surprise, their destination is Rui's house, and her request is for him to have sex with her. There's no love behind the act, she just wants to learn from the experience. Thinking that it might help him forget Hina, Natsuo hesitantly agrees. After this unusual encounter, Natsuo now faces a new problem. With his father remarrying, he ends up with a new pair of stepsisters. Unfortunately, he knows these two girls all too well. He finds out his new siblings are none other than Hina and Rui. Now living with both the teacher he loves and the girl with whom he had his first time, Natsuo finds himself in an unexpected love triangle as he climbs ever closer towards adulthood. So there you go. There is and honestly, I think that's what probably drew a lot of people in, is because that premise is unusual and interesting sounding, and so that's, I think, what has drawn a lot of people in. So, and I was no different, of course. I was like, oh man, that sounds like it could be fun. So then I dove right in. So first of all, rating. Well, there's lots of I don't know. I would say that it's probably for adults, probably R, just because there's a lot of obviously the premise is very adult and it doesn't pull any punches. It is meant for adults. A lot of the stuff is very all the themes are very mature themes. There we go. That's what I was going for. All the themes are very mature, and so because of all that, I think it probably should be for adults. I think if you're too young, you're not going to appreciate it, or you're not going to understand it, or whatever. So I think that it's probably best if you are an adult if you watch this anime. Anywho, so genre, of course, it's no surprise. It's drama and romance, pretty much. Now, the drama is pretty heavy in this one. That it is there for most of the anime. It gets obviously really heavy towards the end. The ending is what the last few episodes is what gets really heavy. A lot, but there was drama throughout. So if you're not a drama person, then I would tell you to look elsewhere, because this anime is very dramatic. But if you're looking for a romance and drama doesn't bother you, then maybe you will enjoy this. Anywho. So season length, it is a 12-episode anime with regular, with regular episode lengths. There is nothing after the credits, so if you're worried about missing anything, don't be. You won't be missing anything because there is nothing after the credits. So you have that going for you. So hopping into our characters here, the character list is there, but it's not that bad. I will be going kind of quickly through this character list. I'm doing a quick little scan and making sure seeing how much of this really matters before I jump into it. Let me see. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I don't think we have to go too heavy into this. Yeah, okay. So I might just cover the main characters, and then maybe barely mention any other ones because there's not the characters here aren't too. A lot of them are just supporting, and you'll 100% meet them, and they're not as important. The main characters is what is really important. So I will go ahead and probably just talk about them for the most part. Anywho. So, let's go ahead and hop into our first one. Our first, obviously, our main character is Natsuo. Natsuo is the main dude behind the whole shindig, and it follows him, primarily. And, of course, he is, his character is kind of weird to describe because he is young, and a lot of it, you don't blame him for anything. I mean, he likes his teacher, but, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. You can't help who you have a crush on. Or whatever, and there's a lot of good qualities about him. He's looking to be an author, and he wants to. So he's writing a book, and he's actually friends with that teacher before she becomes his stepsister. And so there is he is kind of friends with her, and they chat a little bit on the roof as he's like writing his book and stuff like that. So ultimately, he's a pretty good dude. He does some stupid things closer to the end of the anime, but in his defense, he's also very young, and so it's like it's not that big a deal. And he is pretty likable. I think he makes some, like I said, some stupid decisions at the end, and but he's young. It's whatever. So, and our next main character is going to be Rui. Of course, this is one of his two step sisters. Rui is she is the girl that he had his first time with and her first time with, and she's very not withdrawn, because I don't know, maybe withdrawn. She's very quiet. She doesn't express a lot of her personality on the surface, even though there's a lot more going on underneath. That she does feel stuff. She's just, I forget what it's called. It's not tsundere, because tsundere is when they're like mean to you, but they really like you. It's not that one. There's another one where you're basically very like deadpan on the surface, but then you're like, there's a lot more emotion going on underneath. Well, that's her. And so she is, especially as it gets farther and farther, then I think you appreciate her more and more. At first, it was just like, man, she's kind of weird. I don't really get her. But before too long, I feel like that you really understood her more, and it all meant a lot more. And so at least it did to me. So it was a little clearer to understand what type of character she was. But anyway, going into our last main character is going to be, of course, Hina. Hina is his teacher and his crush and romance option, etc., etc. And she's ultimately she's really nice, and she's a really good person. She, at least to me, looks like a good teacher. And she's well liked by everybody. A lot of the boys have crushes on her, and she's friends with everybody. And so, as the anime progresses and as things develop, then there's a lot of drama back and forth between these three characters. There is a lot that bounces between them, and there's not too much to say about that. I feel like a lot of everything will become clear when you watch it. But now there is a slew of side characters. They're all supporting. As far as any like real important ones, there is Fumiya. Fumiya is, and I don't know if I'll be able to find a picture of him, so I'll just have to describe him for you. But Fumiya is Natsuo's best friend, and he's often there because he's often. Natsuo often bounces his ideas off of Fumiya, and Fumiya actually gives him lots of advice on how to proceed with things and how to help him with things, and he's a really good friend. And so if that's just, there it is. And then another supporting character, and again, I don't know if I'll be able to find her, is Momo. Now, Momo is she's a girl that has a crush on Natsuo when they first meet her. There's a lot of really mean rumors going around about her, but she, you get introduced to her pretty much over about one or two episodes, and then she's sort of there a little bit. She's friends with Rui later on, regardless of what happens between her and Natsuo, and she's friends with Rui, and it's nice for Rui to get some friends because Rui is pretty socially awkward, and she's not very good at being nice to people, and she's not very good at making friends, and so it's good for her to have one. So that's really nice. And then there's some other side characters, but those are really some of the most prevalent ones. There's other ones, but you'll meet all of them, and they all get introduced, so it's not that big a deal. Anywho, so that's pretty much it as far as characters are concerned. As far as my favorite character is Rui in this anime. All the characters are made really well, but my favorite character is Rui. I just feel bad for her. I like her on a lot of levels. I understand the whole socially awkward thing, especially when I was young. I 100% understood that. And then even as I got older, like the whole social anxiety thing that I have is pretty brutal. So anyway. And then so I like her a lot, and that character type is how she looks in the anime is very much my aesthetic. So once you'll see her in the pictures and stuff, assuming I can find pictures of the actual anime, because all these character lists, it's all their pictures from the manga, and it is not how they look in the anime. And so it's one of those things that I hope I can find. The pictures from the anime rather than pictures from the manga. So going into animation and music here. It is really well animated. It's very, very well animated. It's very, very pretty to look at. The art style is great. The characters are well made. The detail is great. The music's not bad. I don't remember anything crazy. The opening song was really cool. It was very different. I don't know. A lot of opening songs are very like up and at 'em and very like aggressive. Well, this one was a little more laid back, at least in the beginning, and it's really good. So not too much to say about that, but it is really, really well done. It's very pretty to look at. So now we are at the point where we're right before the final rating and recommendation, but now is where we have to hash some things out. Okay, so this score is going to be a little different for this anime, and so we will go ahead and I think I'm probably actually going to give my score and tell you what it is, and then I'll have to explain why, because based on what I described so far, you might not understand my score, and I will have to get into it. So before we get too heavily into that, I will warn you before I really go into it, but there'll have to be spoilers, because to understand why my score is not what you might expect. I'm going to have to spoil some things. So first, my score. I will warn you before I get any spoilers. So final rating and recommendation, I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5. Meh. This anime was okay, but there were several things wrong that kind of ruined it for me, and it's probably not worth buying. Okay, so I don't know if we've ever had a 3 out of 5, but if we haven't yet on my channel, well, now we do. And now we have a 3 out of 5. We have a meh. Okay, so in order to understand why the score is lower, it is the ending. So there is a lot of drama, and I mentioned that. Now, drama inherently isn't bad. So, before we get into this, spoilers. So, you've been warned. If you don't want to hear the ending or whatever, don't want to be spoiled, I recommend heading for the hills. If you are still around and you don't care necessarily, if you don't want to walk into an anime that might piss you off or upset you, then stick around. Okay, now that I've warned you all. So, this anime has a lot of drama. That by itself, there's nothing wrong with that. Drama, it can, especially if it ends if it has a good ending and it was well handled, I'm okay with some drama. I've watched a lot of animes that were very dramatic but very good, so that by itself is not what makes it bad. The last few episodes are not great, so obviously my favorite character is Rui. Now, Rui, especially as the anime progresses, at first she had her first time with Natsuo in the very beginning, before she knew who he was and he knew who she was. But then later, of course, they become family, and she actually does develop a real crush on him. Okay, so then she develops a real crush on him and develops real feelings. Okay, well, her and Natsuo start kissing occasionally. Okay, and then so that already was the first sign of things I didn't like, because man, Natsuo doesn't really like her like that. I mean, he does a little bit, but really his eyes are all for Hina, which is, of course, his teacher and then now suddenly stepsister. His eyes are all for Hina, okay? So I don't like it because it already feels like that she's being lied to, because Natsuo doesn't just straight up tell her, look, I'm into Hina, blah, 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 blah. He sort of lets her suffer, in my opinion. I didn't like it because he lets her like him. He's not he kisses her and things happen with her and him, and he doesn't ever do anything about it to tell her what's really going on. So I already don't like that, because then he feels like that she's being lied to. So that's already not cool. Okay, so then there is lots of drama with Hina, and I won't spoil all of the drama that happens there, but there's other things that happen in the middle of the anime, a lot of the more beginning stuff that does get resolved, that made things a little tense already, but then obviously that's not what affects the ending. It's just a piece of the puzzle. Anyway, so and then at the closer to the end, Hina and Natsuo finally give in, and then they start a relationship, okay, which is fine. Now, at first, I didn't like that because I was shipping Rui and Natsuo, but then after it progressed and got farther, I was actually okay with it. I was like, all right, I like Rui more. But the fact is, Natsuo liked Hina, earlier than he liked Rui, and and they are adorable together, and I really like Hina. So it's like, you know what, that's okay. So I swallowed that and I accepted that, and that is what it is, right? So I decided to not let it bother me. I wasn't gonna knock the score for that. I was like, you know what, that's an opinion. The anime isn't any less, you know what I mean? So I decided to let that go. Okay, but then the school where Hina works finds out about the relationship between Natsuo, a student, and Hina, the teacher. Okay, so naturally, instead of having her arrested, they keep it quiet in exchange that Hina transfer schools. Okay, so at this point, Hina and Natsuo have been together for 3 months, I think. And so Hina transfers schools, and this is the last episode, I think. Now, second to last episode, it teases like everything's resolved, like it's over. You know what I mean? So 11 of 12, you think, oh, it's all good now, right? All right, sweet. So now we have an extra episode to goof off, okay? But immediately, I was bracing myself for bad news, because when an anime stops and you know it's a drama anime, the odds are they're going to hit you with something bad in the last episode if 11 of 12 everything's resolved. So, and I was right. Anyway, and so the school finds out, they transfer schools, Hina doesn't tell Natsuo and vanishes, okay? She doesn't even tell her parents where she went. All right, so Hina vanishes. Well, it destroys Natsuo's mind. He tries to find her. He goes to her apartment. He can't find her. She's not there. There's a note saying goodbye. I still love you, but goodbye. She does tell him why, which props for that, because some anime don't even do that much for you. So she does tell him why that she transferred and what happened with that. But she doesn't tell him where she's going. Now, she tells him, chase your dream of becoming an author, chase your dream, have a good life, goodbye, basically. Okay, so then that's already not cool. So then what I really didn't like was then Natsuo doesn't try and find her. He goes through a crazy depression for like a week or two or something, like 10 days or something. He goes through this crazy depression where he doesn't move, he barely eats anything, he sort of just is comatose in his room until his friend Fumiya comes and smacks some sense into him. So then Natsuo writes this story of, it doesn't really tell you what, but he writes this story, and I'm assuming it's basically what happened, because the earlier story he wrote that he did finish was about him and his teachers. It was about a student and a teacher having a crush on each other, and they fell in love and stuff. So basically, it's his story. So then he writes another story, marathons through it for a few days, and writes this new story, and this new story I'm assuming would tell what happened with everything more recently. Anyway, and so he writes this new story, and some other little plot and stuff develops, but he never tries and finds her. He never chases Hina down. He doesn't try and figure it out. My thought is, how many schools could possibly be in Japan, right? I don't know. It's like if you lived on an island with, even if there's a lot of people with a lot of schools, I don't know how it works in Japan, of course, because obviously I'm not from Japan and I've never been, but at least in America, you could go to a school and look up who the staff is, because a lot of websites, a lot of school sites have a staff. You could look at staff and they'll tell you like whatever little things about them. You know what I mean? You could do that, or if that's not an option, you can hire like a private investigator to track her down. Because then the two parents, they reveal that they that's exactly what they did. They hired a private investigator and found Hina, but then they don't tell Natsuo. And apparently someone told them that Natsuo and Hina were in a relationship. Someone. I don't know how they found out, but somehow they did. And they decide to not tell Natsuo. So that was another knock against them. Okay, because I was like, that's ridiculous. Okay, well then Natsuo just doesn't do anything about chasing Hina down. Okay, so that was already, so I'm already like, are you serious? So I was already pretty pissed off at this point. But then Rui makes her move on Natsuo again after finding out brutally bad that Natsuo and Hina were in a relationship because Natsuo was lying about it. And so she finds out, as we all knew she was going to. She finds out, she was pissed. That was more drama earlier on, but it wasn't part of the, it's not part of the reason that the rating got knocked. Anyway, and so she makes her move on Natsuo. She's like, well, now that Hina's not here, she's like, we don't know, she's gone, now I'm not gonna like hold back anymore or whatever. And so then that's right at the end. So basically right at the end, it sets up for Natsuo and Rui to pursue their own relationship. And Natsuo at first is like, holy crap, what's happening? But then he doesn't stop her. Now that I don't blame, I don't know. I had very mixed feelings about that, because although I like Rui more, he was with Hina, and personally, I don't think it's out of the picture that he couldn't still find her. You know what I mean? So then it sets up for Rui and him to have their relationship. And then all of that is so it's sort of already leaving a bad taste in your mouth, right? Okay, but then at the very end, like right before the credits is over, it shows where Hina is. Apparently she cut her hair and she changed some things, but then she has so apparently one of the stories, that new crazy story that Natsuo marathoned and wrote, he gave it to his teacher. His teacher dude submitted it for an award that he actually won, and he won a whole bunch of money with it. Okay, so that was another thing that bothered me. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you use the money to find Hina? Now you have funds to do it too. But he didn't. And so anyway, and so he won this award and stuff. So it shows Hina wherever she's at, and shows that she has his book that he won an award for, and she says that she has a ring that Natsuo bought her, and she says like, I still love you, like, so she's like still pining after him. She still feels bad that he's gone. She still loves him or whatever, or she feels bad that she left, I guess, and she still loves him, but she's not enough to go find him, not enough to I don't know. I didn't understand why he couldn't just go with her. You know, that maybe I'm just wired differently or something, but if I was in her exact shoes, I would have told the person I was with, hey, like, they found out I have to transfer schools. If we can incognito move us away, like find a way to make this relationship work somewhere else. You know, there's a lot of things we're going to have to give away. There's a lot of things we're going to have to give up, and maybe even change our identities, something. But regardless, we can still have this work, but somewhere else. I would have found a way to make it work. I really cannot fathom the idea of leaving someone you're with behind because anything. You know what I mean? If you're with that person, if you love that person, why couldn't you still find a way? I mean, I feel like if you really wanted it, you'd find a way. At least I would. Anyway, so that's the reason that the score is not good. That's the reason that me personally, I don't. We'll get into the recommendation, but that's the reason that the score got knocked, because the ending is just stupid. The ending is stupid. It bothers me. I don't like it, and yeah. So I don't know if we've ever had a 3 out of 5 rating on my channel, but we certainly have now. And regardless, though. So that's why. So obviously that was long. Sorry about that, guys. But that's why the score got knocked, even though the rest of the anime was good. So getting into our recommendation, basically, the anime was good. They botched the ending. I did not like that. Now, it does kind of make me wonder if, thinking about looking into the manga a little bit, I wonder if the manga has a different ending, or if they did it differently, or if this was an anime, if the anime was very manga accurate or not. Because there are some animes do that, where they were based on an anime, but they greatly change it, or they were based on an anime and they stuck to it 100%. Or the anime stops sooner than the manga does. There's a lot of of anime that I've seen that do that, where the ending was like, well, that was pretty good, but is it better in the manga? And then I look it up and find out, oh yeah, it turns out that, you know, at this one they hinted at a happily ever after, but in the manga they 100% give it to you. There's a lot of anime there's a lot of manga that I've written down because I know the ending gives you exactly what you want that the anime hinted at, basically. But anyway, so I will probably look into the manga and see if that one gives you something more satisfactory. But regardless, there it is. As far as recommendation goes, if you like that ending that I spoiled, and if that doesn't bother you that I did spoil it, then check it out. If you like drama, if you like romance, check it out. If heartbreak or whatever doesn't bother you, if none of that seemed that bad to you, check it out. You know, the rest of it was really good. It was really pretty. It was really well made, as far as like graphically is concerned. I didn't like what they did with it, but for all I know, that could be 100% accurate with the manga, and they did the same thing in the manga, which means that obviously I won't be reading the manga. But regardless, there it is. That is going to call it for this positive anime review. You know, it's actually interesting. I don't know if I should do like I don't know if I should change my title for positive anime review. I considered calling it like a not so positive anime review, because then it's like a not so positive anime review. You know what I mean? So I considered doing that for anime that didn't get a great score, because the fact is not 100% of all anime ever is gonna have a good score. There are anime I have seen that I don't like this one, for instance. But there is a very small list, but it is a tiny list, but it is a list of anime that I actually don't like. So I considered calling it a not so positive anime review. Just so you guys would know that I didn't maybe love it, and that way I don't because otherwise the title isn't gonna make sense. If I call it positive anime review, but I gave it whatever a horrible score and ripped it to pieces, then it would seem kind of funny to call it a positive anime review when it's not very positive. So I think I might call it a not so positive anime review. In the titles of anime that didn't get a great score, just because if they are more negative than positive, like in this case, I want you guys to know. So maybe I'll start doing that. Obviously, I won't file it under any kind of new playlist or anything. I'll put it in the same playlist because there'll be so few of the not so positive ones that they won't warrant a playlist, because it doesn't happen very often. But anyway, so that's going to call it. So yeah, there is my final rating and my recommendation. And yeah, so sorry if this one was a little heavy and not incredibly positive, but you know, not 100% of all anime deserve a great score. But most anime I do gets at least a 4 out of 5. Often most of them get 5 out of 5s. So, you know, it's just they outweigh them, but of course not 100% of everything is perfect. So anyway, I'm already watching the next anime that I'm already working on my next anime is what I'm trying to say. And we will get to that. So obviously I just started it last night, so whenever I get to that, I will of course, you know, you'll see it whenever it's out. But right after this, I will be recording part 2 of our Smuggler playthrough for the Old Republic, and we will get to that. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today, and we will talk to you guys later.
Hey guys, it is Darth Bowinkle here.
You want to know what I know? Two wrongs don't make a right, but 3 rights make a left. That's what I know. Oh man, I can use the Force. I'm a Jedi, Mom. You like landed on my face, and not in a fun way. No, I'm kidding.
The drawbridge is the least of our concerns at this particular moment.
Oh wow, they actually are violent. What a nice change of scenery. It's easier to do something about the flat guns when I'm not being chased by every German fighter in freaking Germany! Something large has my number, and he's calling me for a date. I'm not interested. Aw. Thanks, creepy computer mom. Andronicus, you're in my dream too. Let's be honest though, you're always in my dreams.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the content today, and we will talk to you guys later.